I looked up the word madness in the dictionary, and I was surprised at the definitions that I read. And most of the dictionaries characterized or described madness as a state of mental illness, but the Merriam-Webster's characterization really caught my attention. It also defined this word madness as behavior or thinking that is very foolish, unreasonable, and dangerous. At times it seems to me like we're living in a world which is being overrun by people with very foolish thinking, quite unreasonable at times, in fact, and at other times, outright dangerous thinking. Our modern culture appears to be suffering from a bad season of madness. Catch a news report on any given day, you'll likely hear accounts of crazed gunmen randomly killing people, rioters destroying their own communities as a form of a protest, men and women fighting over bathroom rights, and the list goes on and on. All of this madness can be worrisome indeed. Then toss in concerns over a pandemic, flesh-eating bacteria, the latest global hotspots. Throw in a few natural disasters and, well, it's enough to drive you crazy, isn't it? At the very least, it can be difficult to remain a positive person in a world gone mad. So what do we do to remain optimistic beacons of light and of hope in a very pessimistic atmosphere? Let's talk. Did you know that anxiety disorders are one of the most common forms of mental illness in the United States? Some estimates put the number of affected people over the age of 18 at 45 million. One study claims that 1 in 10 adults in the U.S. is now considered clinically depressed. Now, the mental health community, they do their best to help people cope with anxiety, but sometimes science and medicine can do little or nothing to effectively eliminate the problem. And this is especially true when the cause of the problem, the root cause now, is neither psychosomatic or psychological. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. It is perfectly normal for us to experience anxiety every once in a while. Who hasn't had a case of the old nerves before a test or when making an important decision? However, it is not normal to suffer from excessive and unrealistic worry over a prolonged period of time. Simply put, consistent pessimism and harmful thought patterns are major contributing factors to both anxiety and depression. I recently read that we experience anywhere from 25,000 to 50,000 unique thoughts every day of our lives. For those possessed with a negative outlook on life, it's a mental journey on the dark side. Staying calm, positive, and happy all the time, now that may be an admirable goal, but it's also unrealistic. It is fundamentally impossible to have nothing but happy thoughts or live forever in your happy place. However, learning to change negative thought patterns can lower anxiety levels significantly and help to ease some forms of depression as well. Remember, our thinking not only influences the way that we feel, it also plays a major role in shaping who we are as people. The Bible's Older Testament book of Proverbs, King James Version, makes this interesting observation. Proverbs 23:7. It says, "For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." According to the sage wisdom of this and other scriptures, we are literally the sum of all that we think. Why? Because what we think is also what we believe. And what we truly believe is what we ultimately say and do. And folks, you are what you consistently say and do. So let me ask you a question. What are your mental deliberations like as you duke it out with that still small voice inside of your head? What thoughts routinely fill your mind? The worries of your day-to-day life? The emotional pain and suffering you've experienced? Hurt feelings from past situations that still haunt you? Your physical aches and pains or ailments that you might suffer? Fears and uncertainties over economic circumstances or just the global madness in general. Is that what fills your thought life? If these are indeed thought patterns that predominantly populate your daily mental landscape, you may very well suffer from stenchionitis intellectual. What? Stenchionitis intellectual. It's also known as stinking thinking. Stinking thinking. You know, the Cambridge Advanced Learners Dictionary and Thesaurus actually defines the term stinking thinking as a bad way of reasoning that, and I'm quoting now, makes you believe you will fail, makes you believe bad things will happen to you, or makes you believe you are not a very good person. Stinking thinking often leads people to feel sad and worried and hopeless, i.e., anxious and depressed. I have learned that it's unwise to dwell excessively on all of the negatives in the world, especially when we can do little to change most of them anyway. Instead, I regularly work to realign my thought patterns so that my focus, my attention, in other words, is on things that are above and beyond the earthbound circumstances of daily life. And I found that in the book of Colossians in the New Testament, chapter 3 and verse 2. Have you ever considered the possibility that everything needed for this journey that we call life ultimately comes to us from the Creator of all things? You know, well, Jesus was here visiting the earth. He put it this way, and I'm quoting from Matthew 6:32 and 33. He said, "People who don't know God and the way that He works will fuss over so many things. But you know both God and how He works. Steep your life in God reality, in God initiative and God provisions. Don't worry about missing out, and you will find all your everyday human concerns will be met." End quote. Matthew 6:32, 33. That came from the Message. So now, if I am reading the words of that great prophet and liberator and teacher and my Savior correctly, those who know, and how do you know? Through learning, of course. Those who know through learning, through study, how God works can change their negative thought patterns by immersing themselves in the reality, in the initiatives and provisions that have been made for them by the Creator. Like it or not, anxiety can often be a telltale symptom of our lack of trust in the divine providence of our God. Or, at the very least, it's a sign of a lack of focus on the things that truly matter in life, things that are beyond this temporary existence that we're all caught up in. In biblical times, there was a city known as Colossae, located about 120 miles east of then Ephesus in ancient Phrygia. Colossae was part of that Roman territory known as Asia Minor. Now, I tell you about this because it was the location of a vibrant faith community to which the Newer Testament writer Paul inscribed one of his many letters, and it bears the name, the Book of Colossae, or Paul's letter to the Colossians. And he told the followers of Jesus who were living there to, and I'm quoting now, Colossians chapter 3, verses 1 through 4, he told them, "Give your hearts to heavenly things, not to the passing things of the earth. For as far as this world is concerned, you are already dead anyway, and your true life is now hidden in the Anointed One. Someday, Jesus, the secret center of our lives, will show himself openly again, and you will all share in the magnificent final outcome." End of quote. Now, Paul's instructions here are very clear. Do not devote yourself to the stuff of the earth. He reasoned that as followers of the liberator Jesus, we're already dead to this world because of a new life and the new realm that we now belong to. As we are at present in this physical world, that realm is invisible to our physical eyes. But when the Creator makes his return trip to the earth, Paul then went on and told them again, quote, this comes from Philippians chapter 4, verses 8 through 9, quote, "Dear brothers and sisters, one final thing, fix your thoughts on what is true. Fix your thoughts on what is honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and think about things that are praiseworthy. Keep putting into practice all that you learned and received from me, everything you heard from me, everything that you saw me doing, and then he, the God of peace, will be with you." End quote. Did you hear the words I just said? Truth, honesty, justice, purity, loveliness, good reports, virtue, praiseworthy things. You know, these are not the thoughts upon which our modern society commonly focuses. The news media, the entertainment industry, the world governments, and sometimes even our spiritual and educational institutions do not evoke this thought pattern in our lives. Therefore, to remain positive amidst a world gone mad, we must sidestep this world's agendas, and we must see life from an eternal perspective. Refocusing our thinking is what helps us change negative thought patterns so that we can enjoy a more optimistic point of view, even as we must traverse the often difficult times here on Spaceship Earth. As we learn to rehabilitate our thought patterns, as we learn to focus more and more attention on what the Creator has revealed instead of what this present world order is encouraging and supporting, everyday human concerns, according to Jesus, will be met. With the daily support of the divine Spirit of our Creator, we can overcome the blues. We can deal with our bad attitudes. We can solve unresolved problems. We can settle disputes, and we can calm our anxieties and our fears. You know, life is not always black and white. More often than not, life is painted in many shades of gray. It would be much easier to navigate the modern madness if everything was either all good or all bad. But it's not. The immediate future, it is not set in stone. No human knows with certainty what tomorrow will bring. Learn to view your past mistakes as teachable moments, as opportunities to do better as you move forward. In the Bible's Newer Testament book of 1 Peter, you will find these very encouraging words, and I'm going to read them to you. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7. Quote, "Let him," the him there is God, "let God have all of your worries and all of your cares and all of your anxieties, for he is always thinking about you, and he is watching everything that concerns you." End quote. That to me is so awesome. The Creator of all things, God, knows who I am. He actually thinks about me. Every detail of my life here on this little speck of an orbiting orb is of personal concern to God. And since I actually believe that is true, then I must ask myself, how can I justify perpetual anxiety, anxiousness in my life if I believe those things are true? The answer is, I cannot. Surrounded by madness. Yes, my friends, it appears that we are living in a world that has gone crazy. And yours truly, well, I've simply decided that I'm not going there along with the masses. How about you? May the God of hope fill you today with joy and peace in your faith, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit, your whole life and outlook may radiate with hope. That's Romans 15:13. And I hope you will pause and think about that. Till the next time, may God richly bless you today.